Welcome, everyone, and thanks to tuning in for another Benchmark Studios podcast episode. We've got some really special guests today. We've got Miss Passion, Miss Alanis, Mr. Falcone, and today we're going to specifically talk about some school topics. We're going to talk about what it means to be a teacher. We're going to talk about how to lead a classroom, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we love and some of the challenges that we face when we're in school. So the conversation is going to really be focused on anyone who's listening who's wondering what school's like these days, and what's a teacher's life like, and how can we improve the system that we're all involved in. So all I'm going to do to get us started is just ask that each of us go around and say our names, and then say what grade we're in school and where we're going to school, or in the case of Mr. Falcone, what you teach, what your background is. So Passion, I'm going to start with you. Just name and where you're going to school and what grade you're in.
I'm Passion. I am a sophomore in McCaskey East.
Cool. Alanis?
I'm Alanis. I'm a sophomore in McCaskey, JP, and East.
Good.
I'm Mr. Falcone. I'm a social studies teacher. This will be my 5th year teaching, I think. And I teach 7 through 12.
Yeah. And what school do you teach at?
Oh, yeah. Burley Academy.
Excellent. And that is
That is the alternative education school for School District of Lancaster.
Excellent. So, Mr. Falcone, first question we're going to toss out. What got you into teaching? Like, how did you decide you want to be a teacher?
Oh, that's a good... I've had this conversation with you guys, if you remember. I graduated from college in 2018 with a economics degree, and actually went to work in importation out in Philadelphia. So I lived in Philadelphia for about a year and a half. And I was good at what I did, but I hated it. And as I was working there, I started thinking, like, I really want to give back to my community. And I've always had a passion for history and government. So I thought, might as well go back to school and get my teaching cert, which I did in I went back in 2019 during the COVID years. I actually student taught at Manheim Township, got my cert in 2021, subbed around for a little bit until I finally found my place at Burley Academy.
Excellent. And you've been there and you enjoy that. What is it that you enjoy about teaching?
I really like... with teaching, I really like getting to know my students, figuring out what their likes, dislikes are, what makes them passionate, and then being able to incorporate that into my lessons.
Yeah. I'm going to ask each of you to respond to this question. So we'll just go down the line. I want to know what each of you think. What makes a teacher a good teacher?
Well, what I think is that someone that takes the time out of like through all the students to focus on like what you need personally, like with help in school, someone that doesn't give up on you easily in class, like a kid says, oh, I don't want help, but they really do. I think that you should just take the chance on trying to help them, even though they state that they don't want help.
Thank you. That's good. Lonnie's?
I agree with Passion because not every student learns the same. Me personally, I can't learn that fast. Like I'm not saying I'm dumb.
Yeah.
I'm pretty smart, but I just can't get it the first time you say it to me. I can't understand it. So I need a little bit more help than probably other students need.
Yeah. Both of you are talking about like individualized education.
Yeah,
so
they think just because they sit there and just tell everybody the same thing, everybody is going to understand it. No, that's not how it works.
Or like if they, instead of just like sitting there and just handing out papers, like get up and actually like stand in front of the class and show us how to do it.
Okay, I like that. Mr. Falcone, what makes a teacher a good teacher?
I think for me, and something I try to live every day when I'm in the classroom, is patience with all students, because you never know what students are going to come into the classroom with. Just being patient with them and compassionate. I think if you got both of those every day, you're gonna have a pretty good time.
So we remember. I'm in agreement with everything here. We remember the good teachers.
Yeah.
But we also remember some of the teachers that we didn't like so much, or where we didn't succeed. So just for all of us who are listening, what are some of the things that you remember? It's like, this was not a good teaching moment. This did not go well in this classroom.
Someone that just was there, like you're just there, you're not helping. Someone that rushed through the class instead of taking the time to teach, just trying to like get the class over with. I don't really like things like that.
Okay. I have another follow-up question for that. But Lonnie, what do you think of the things that...
I have a certain teacher right now.
Okay, don't say their name.
Yes,
but you can describe them.
But literally, I go into class. Everybody goes in their seat. He just has whatever we're going to do in Schoology, and then we do it. And then the next day, we might have a test, and we don't even know because he doesn't tell us. Like, we just walk in. He has it on the board. We do it. That's it. We barely talk during the whole period. We don't do nothing. We just go in, watch the video on our iPads. We go to the next period, and then that's it. We don't learn nothing. It's either books or iPad, and I hate working with my iPad. Like, you don't understand how much I hate it.
You don't like it, even though iPads are like everywhere.
Yes, it's to the point where I swear that when I used to be in Burley's, I learned like 4 times better than me being in a regular school. And that's what teachers don't understand. They think just because they want to go to a different school is because they just don't want to do the harder work. But it's not that. In Burley, they take the time to actually teach you. In McCaskey, don't get me wrong, there's some good teachers, but there's certain teachers that don't really. They just go in to get paid, and then that's it.
Okay, I have a good follow-up question for both of you because I hear something similar. But Mr. Falcone, I got to hear from you first. What are some of the things that would reflect not good teaching?
Yeah, it's really disheartening for me to hear the teachers just go in. Because to me, that's like the joy of teaching, not just making my lessons. And I had you both as students when you went there. Part of the joy for me was walking around, watching you guys create new ideas, learning new things, getting that aha moment. That's what keeps me coming back when I watch students. I'm teaching something, they feel like, oh, this makes sense. I understand what I'm doing now. So to hear that you went back to the school district lights there, and there's some teachers who don't put the time in that we used to put in. Now, something that drives me, and I'm going to relate to when I went to school, is I had a lot of teachers who, if I had one teacher, and sometimes I'd have difficulty, if I just had that one teacher just step out and be like, hey, what's wrong? Come talk to me. That would have really helped me out. And that's something I try to remember. So if I ever see a student with those difficulties, I try to step out and be like, what can I do? What can I help you with? Mm-hmm. Like, I want to help you. I want to see you succeed.
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk a little bit more about the times that you all have spent in the classroom together, because that's what I want to do with some of our time. But I need to ask specifically Passion and Lonnie's, how do you know when a teacher, you both talked about teachers who aren't really in it for a variety of reasons. How do you know that they're not in it? Because I imagine they probably come into work thinking that they're going to do a good job today. They probably didn't show up for school being like, I'm not going to do a good job teaching today. So how do you figure out that they're not really in it, or they don't really have what you call good teacher skills?
Me personally, I can feel like, I think that might be like a little different, but I can feel like the tension in there. Like, you can see like every kid with their head down in my specific class. And it's just like, the teacher's not saying anything. You let them put their heads down. You're not explaining anything, so they're just getting bored of the class. They don't understand what we're doing. And I just think that, like, the tones that teachers speak with, you can tell if they enjoy their job or not. Mm. You can see it in their face if they enjoy, like, teaching or if they enjoy just being here in general.
You can pick it up. Like, sitting in the classroom, you can feel. Do you agree with that, Lonnie? You can pick it up?
The energy they welcome us in the class is like different. It's just like like they don't even really say anything. They just be like, "Oh, here's this. Just finish it, and whenever you're done, you can go your phones. You can listen to music."
So, do you think it's just them having a bad day though, or is this something different?
But every day,
like my one teacher, every teacher in McCaskey, like when the bell goes off, they come stand outside the class and wait for you. But this specific teacher does not come out the class. They sit in their chair and have this mug of coffee or whatever is in it, and they just sit there. The stuff's on the board to do. You take out a piece of paper. your iPad and that's just it.
Just do what's on the board.
Yep. And the notes are in Schoology, and it's just like, me personally, I can't read and understand. Like, it has to be shown face to face with me. And I think that they think like every student learns the same way.
I think, Mr. Falcone, you got to respond to some of this when that, like, I think being a teacher is really hard. And I don't know, can every teacher you've clearly had a positive impact on Passion and Lonnie's, but there are other teachers who aren't. So what's the teacher supposed to do when they hear stuff like this?
Well, my first thought is if I was over there, sort of talk to the teacher, be like, hey, so this is just not, I'm having a really hard time understanding what you're teaching me. And I'd be like, is there another way I can get the information? Especially like if you don't like the iPad, I would ask like, hey, can I get a paper copy of this? Now I don't know the teacher who you're talking about, so I'm not sure how they got to this point. And I will tell you guys on the teaching, and I love it. I want to make sure that I love teaching. This is like my favorite career. This is what I'm going to do this for many years until I finally retire. But a lot of teachers get burnt out, unfortunately. And that could either be they've just been teaching a long time and like they can't. There's been a lot of change in education. I know when I was there, it was all paper copies. I didn't even have a cell phone until my senior year of high school. So that was never a problem. But now there's all this technology. There's a lot of new like studies coming out, but I don't think schools understand how to utilize some of the new stuff that's coming out, and a lot of teachers are struggling to adapt to it. Now, I agree. Not every student learns the same. I 100% agree with that, and that is why my lessons are always, I try to give you guys a lot of options, and I accept a lot of answers and a lot of different things. But I think some teachers, they're having a hard time coping with this sort of new educational space. We're still, I don't know if anyone told you this, but a lot of the rules and the way school functions is still something we've created like 100 years ago, and we have not updated it since. If we did, very little. The school system was sort of designed as a factory system, teach you guys how to be good factory workers, and obviously that's no longer the case. Mm-hmm. And I think because we haven't changed the way school has functioned, a lot of students aren't getting what they need, and a lot of teachers just don't know how to address it. And unfortunately, I think many have just sort of given up.
Mm-hmm. So let's agree to something. Let's say that we know there's some teachers who have given up. Let's take them out of our conversation pool. Let's say I'm a new teacher and this is a question for all three of you. I'm a new teacher and I do want to help, and I want to learn about you, and I want to know how you learn. But I have to be honest, I have a class of 30 students, and then I have to teach 6 different classes of 30 students every single day. So that's a lot of kids. Go ahead, Lonnie.
But that's the point, that you signed up for it. You were the one who wanted to work for that. So you shouldn't make me feel like I'm the problem because I can't understand what you're trying to teach me. Because that's what you signed up for, and that's what you're working with. And before you worked for it, you knew that was going to happen. That is a whole bunch of kids in school, a whole bunch of different classes. So you should have known that at some point it was going to get tiring. Mm-hmm. So you shouldn't try to make it seem like it's my fault that I'm there, because by law, I had to be there.
Mm-hmm. How could I get to know you, though? So if I'm the teacher and I do actually want to help you, I have a lot of kids in my class. It is stressing me out, but how do I get to know you? How should I? Talk to me like I'm a teacher, and you both are in my class, or you're in Mr. Falcone's class. Like, how should a teacher get to know you? Because if they do actually want to help you, we're not talking about the teachers who are burnt out and we're talking about the teachers who actually want to help. How do you want them to get to know you?
The way that one of my teachers that I have in one of my classes for, I think it's my other algebra class, he stands up, he comes to like our desks, talks to us, he gives us like extra time to do things, he throws little jokes in there here and there, and then like we see him in the hallway, he talks to us more, how's your day going, what are you going to be doing later, you can come to tutoring. And then I don't know, but somehow from there it just got better and better.
Sounds like just basic checking in,
Yeah.
saying hi when I
And I
see
think
you.
that helps like build some type of bond, even if it's not a lot. I think it still helps get to the point.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Mr. Falcone? Teachers have a lot of stressors.
Yes, and I love that. That's what I try to do. One of my former schools, I worked at Central York for a long-term sub gig, and that's how I did it. I had a class size of 30, and it was very difficult to know everyone as personally as I would want to. Right at Burley, it was nice. We had smaller class sizes for the most part, other than that 1 year. But we had smaller class sizes. I can go up to everyone and talk to them, and see how you guys are doing, and have a nice conversation, make some nice rapport. But there are a lot of stressors when you have a classroom of 30, and as a teacher, I got to make sure every student gets what they need. And some students need a lot more support than others. And some students, I have to make sure they get those supports, otherwise I get into a lot of trouble. And then that's a whole other level in the classroom. And I want to talk to everyone, but I might have to talk to this one student way more than the rest. Now, there's other ways around that, like going into the hall. That's why I try to be in the hallway and just talk to students as they walk by. It's such an easy thing. Good morning. How you doing? What's for lunch today? What are you doing on the weekend? Do you have how was your job? That sort of stuff. But yeah, in the classroom itself, during those, in some schools, you have an hour and a half in every classroom. In others, you only have 45 minutes. And during those 45 minutes, you got to try and get as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. Passion and Lonnie, if you are the teacher now, and you know who you are, you know what students in your classes are like, what's the best way to get to know kids, especially if the kids don't want to be in school in the first place?
I'd let them just like take some time to get like themselves comfortable, and most kids will most likely, if they want to have like a bond or talk more, they'll come to you.
Mm-hmm.
So either I'd let them come to me, or I'd go out and do little things to try and like make it easier for them to want to talk.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. Lonnie, what do you think?
I have this one teacher, which is my last period teacher, and he's my favorite. And he's the teacher that if I ever become a teacher, I would want to be like him, because there's like, in my last period, there's different type of kids. There's bad kids, there's good kids, shy kids, people that don't speak English, and he learned how to get to them in every different way. He knows me, and he knows that like, he knows that I don't get along with all of my teachers, but I still try. And we always sit there and we talk about like, what can I do better to talk to them? What can the teacher do better? He talks to the student. He learned how to speak a little bit of Spanish, because you know how there's so many kids here that don't speak English.
Yes.
There's this one kid he's an immigrant from Africa, mm-hmm. and he's been teaching him a little bit of English. He does, like, there's this other Arabic kid, and I don't really know how to explain it, but even though he knows that they don't really know how to get used to this, he always finds a way to get to them and talks to them about like their jobs, how is school going, how are their grades going, how can they go better, how can they be successful in life, and all this different stuff. And I really admire him for that, because not a lot of teachers get the time to do that. So
yeah. So you watch, both of you watch your teacher, and you observe how they behave, and that helps you form judgment on them. And just by watching him be kind to other people, or watching this teacher be kind to other people, it forms a positive connection in your mind. So Mr. Falcone, give me the top reasons why a teacher wouldn't behave that way. There's reasons. Not all teachers do that. They can't all do that. What are the top reasons that keep someone from behaving like that?
Absolutely. And just how I try to give everyone grace, every student, every staff, because you really don't know what they're coming in with that day. Your teachers might have had a tragedy happen. Something as maybe simple as like a car accident. I've had that happen to me. I was in a when I was a substitute, I was going to a school and I got rear-ended by a tractor trailer. That ruined my whole day. And I tried really hard to keep my normal demeanor, but that was hard, especially when like the class might be a little. And I as a sub, it's a little different because you might not know the class you're subbing for. But you're trying to keep your calm. You don't want to yell. But like if class was going a little crazy and you had a really bad morning, that might come out. It's hard. We're human. Yeah. We're all humans. But maybe they're going, like I said, they might be going through some personal tragedy. Maybe they're going through financial troubles. Fortunately, Pennsylvania is a very nice state. They tend to pay especially in the Lancaster area, they tend to pay their teachers relatively well. But that's not the case for a lot of teachers around. I don't know if you guys know this, but like teaching is, like I said, really hard. But it's also not as respected as it should be or as it used to be. And we got to carry that around with us. And I try to don't let any of that stuff affect me because I'm here for the students. I'm here for you guys. It's pretty much why I got into teaching. But some teachers might barely be able to pay rent or have enough food to eat. Or maybe they've got a sick parent or a sick child. And all these stressors, if they keep happening again and again and again and again, you might have a couple of teachers who just finally go like, well, I'm gonna ride this as far as I can, and then when I can't ride it anymore, I'm out.
Does that make sense? Real people, real problems. I want to ask about tests because teachers get graded too, right?
Oh yeah,
teachers get graded on how we do as students on our tests. So, do you both feel like the teachers are? What do you feel is the impact of the standardized tests? You're both going through Keystones right now, like Keystones exams stuff. How do you feel about standardized tests? I'm going to ask you too, Mr. Falcone. Like, they happen every year, and teachers feel pressure to make sure you can do well on those tests because that's part of how they get graded. So, what do you think about these standardized tests that everyone has to take?
I think that it's good for us to be doing this like every year, basically. So that way they can understand where we are in Headspace if we need to be in the same spot again or a little bit higher or maybe a little bit lower. But I do think that also like it needs to be like the way they teach. I think that they explain it one time and we get it. So for me Passion, I think that it needs to be repeated, maybe 2 times, maybe 3, for it to stay in my head. But overall, I think that I understand why they do it, to see where we are, and to try and understand if we are where we're supposed to be, in the right state of mind or in the right grade. Yeah.
So you get it. You're willing to do it.
Yeah. I might not like it, but.
Yeah, no, I don't know if anyone likes getting tested, but what do you think is the influence of these big standardized tests that we all have to take?
Today on my lit test, I had a substitute because my teacher was giving birth this weekend, and he was being that's what I mean. He came in with positivity. He was in the hallway talking to us when we were about to get in the class. During the test, he would come and be like, "Is everything okay? Do you need anything?" He would check up on us. And that helped me a lot. Because when he would see that I was struggling, he would tell me I could get up, stretch a little bit, because it's hard just sitting there all morning, just sitting there doing a test, just looking at a paper and reading. And that helped me a lot. I think I really did a good job in my Keystone today because of the way he was being so. How can I say?
You said positive. You said he's being positive.
He was being supportive. And when I was done with my test, he was like, "Do you make sure you did everything?" And I would say yes. And then he would be like, "Great job. You really did a good job today." And then that made me happy because I don't really hear that from every teacher. I don't feel that way with all my teachers because they don't really. Yeah. There's 2 of my teachers that I actually feel like I could go, and other than just school, I can open up to them and talk to them about something else.
Yeah, 2's good. You've got two. But I think what you're saying is just the impact of some positivity, even from a substitute on a testing day, made a big difference to you.
Yeah, and I just like Passion said, like I do know, even though it's irritating, them tests are irritating, really bad. I do understand what it's for, even though I don't
Yeah, you get the ultimate
enjoy
reason.
it. Yeah.
So from a teacher's perspective,
They're also very annoying. I agree. So state testing is very important for a couple of reasons. I think in a perfect world, they would only be used to sort of see where you're at and where you should be next year. And they would be great for that. So, of course, these standardized tests, which if the Keystones, every high schooler, and the PSSAs, every middle schooler have to take throughout all of Pennsylvania, and every state, other than Florida, so they got rid of theirs completely. So every other state has their own version of those. The other part of that is that depending on the scores, if they are too low, the state itself, Pennsylvania, could step in and come to the school and be like, what is wrong? Why are these scores so low? And they might penalize the school district based on those scores. And that could be anywhere from, well, usually it's your scores are low. Okay, then you don't get funding from the state, meaning the state will give less money to the school to support its students. Which I have a very big problem with, because you would think it'd be the opposite. Low scores, we should give them more money so that they can better support their students, but that's unfortunately not how it works. The other thing is right, I have a boss. The principal of the school is my boss. And if scores are low, now social studies isn't a tested subject, so often I'm left alone, but if I was an English teacher or a math teacher, another one of those stressors, administration might come in and they might say, these scores are too low and this is your fault. Which could affect things like raises, which could affect things like having your contract continued the next year. It can affect a lot of things. So state testing isn't just, in a way it is important. We need to know where all of the students, all the high school students are in the state, where we could, like if we need to do more in reading or math. But unfortunately, the consequence of that is a lot of teachers and schools focus on just making sure the students can pass the Keystone. So a lot of like good stuff we could teach gets pushed aside just so that we make sure that you can pass the Keystone. So it kind of negatively affects your education as well in some ways. And while I am glad that social studies is not tested like English or math, so I have a little more freedom what my lessons can be, I also understand that because it's not tested, often my subject, social studies, is like sort of like at the bottom of people's like priority list. So if students are struggling in social studies, I mean, that's not good, but you know, if a student's struggling more in English or math, that gets the priority for them to get help with rather than social studies. And we can tell now because I'll go around asking students what I think are basic social studies questions, history questions, and they cannot answer me. And hurts me a little bit in the heart.
how much of what you all learned in school do you remember?
What do you mean?
Do you remember the stuff you learned?
A little bit. I think I don't remember too much of it because it was so make me feel old. It was so like kind of like a long time ago. But I think that I can remember if it's brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Not off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. How far back can you remember of school stuff? Do you remember the stuff you learned last month? Do you remember stuff you learned
Yeah.
at the beginning of the school year?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Lonnie's? What do you remember from?
Well, in my opinion, I kind of survive from old stuff that they teach me in like I survived with that stuff in McCaskey, and then with the time I start adding up, and that's how I learn more. But more like I remember. I can't say I remember all of it because I might not even remember this in a week. But most of the stuff that I know it from like because lately I haven't been able to learn nothing. It's been too much going on in school. It went Keystone because the teacher's being like really like how can I say it? Stressed about the Keystones.
Yeah.
So they haven't been really teaching a lot. They just been trying to review stuff and some of that stuff I never learned. So
you spent some time in Burley as an alternative education program, and then you came back to mainstream McCaskey.
yeah.
Passion, you did too. So you're saying you learned a lot when you were in a smaller classroom with Mr. Falcone and other teachers, and it's tough to bring that back to the regular school and then try and learn that way.
Because when I got sent to McCaskey again, I was just lost. Like, I didn't have no friends. I didn't know no teachers. And the teachers didn't even get the time to know me neither. So, literally, my freshman year, when I went back to McCaskey, I didn't learn nothing. I lost my passion to go to school. I didn't really want to be there. It was just draining. It was McCaskey. I don't really got a good experience with McCaskey.
It's a bigger school.
Yeah, and a lot of students, a lot of drama. It's just a lot.
A lot of drama at school, you think?
I think there's a lot of drama in school, but not for me.
It's good.
As long as you know how to not hang around or entertain it, you're gonna be fine. But it's still annoying. Just like,
I think you can hang around with the people that are in drama and still keep yourself out of it.
yeah.
You sense a lot of that from the teacher perspective? Do you sense the pressures that students are facing in terms of the drama? Is that at your school? Like
Everywhere, absolutely. Because there's I get there's a need to want to fit in, and that should be part of school should be teaching us how to fit in appropriately and stay out of the drama. But with so many students, it gets very difficult to try and manage it and control it. But also, just in general, just speaking in general here, there's often a lot of drama between teachers as well. Which makes it very difficult to serve the students. And often that drama can, there's drama everywhere is what I'm trying to say.
Passion, Lonnie, are there any teachers that you have that you feel like have similar life experiences to you? Or maybe that doesn't matter.
Okay, so do you mean like teacher or like in general, like
Teacher, or people who are in the school building?
yeah,
There are people in the school building, or there are teachers who,
people in the school building?
but not teachers.
No, I think that teachers, they like. Do you mean like similar to like me?
Yeah, if you talk to them, you would feel like, oh, they went through similar life things that I went through.
I don't think that we have like things similar, like from teachers, but from teachers in the school building. Yeah.
People who are support staff, like
Yeah.
helping out. Okay. Lonnie, what do you think? Any teachers that if you talk to them, you'd be like, wow, we went through some of the same stuff.
Well, I never really talked to a teacher and actually relate to them because I never had the bond with them. So, but I will say that like the staff and stuff, because I feel like staff or like, the hall monitors, they take their job more like mentors.
Yeah.
And teachers they're just there to teach. So that's why I feel like staff, I would relate more with the staff because they're the ones that actually check up on you. When I be walking, even if it's a staff that I don't know, they still be like, hey, how are you doing? How is your day going? They always ask, even if I don't know the staff, they still ask because they feel like that's their responsibility to do. And I love that for them because I don't really get that a lot.
May I ask a question to you guys? Did you feel like the teachers at Burley were you able to relate to us at all? Or do you still, yeah?
Yeah.
All, if not all the teachers, most of the teachers?
I think that even if I wasn't able to relate to you guys, I think that you guys still understood where I was coming from. Even if you couldn't relate, you still felt the feelings that I felt, even though you didn't know everything.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we could do that. That's something I set out to do every day. And do you think your teachers at McCaskey could relate to you if given the right supports in the classroom?
I think that they could understand. I don't think that teachers can understand where a lot of kids are coming from. But I don't think they can relate from where a lot of kids are coming from, but I think they can understand
Okay.
parts of it.
And I understand, because I grew up I was born here in Lancaster, went to school here, pretty much grew up here for most of my life, other than a quick stint in Pittsburgh when I was a very small child. And I absolutely recognize that life as a kid today is in many ways more difficult than when I was a kid, when I went to high school. In fact, I sometimes look back and think, wow, I had it pretty easy. But I talk to a lot of students, I'm sort of like, wow, that's a lot of difficulties today that you guys have to overcome. And it should be, I think the school teachers, staff in schools, that should be part of our curriculum now, just sort of helping students overcome a lot of the difficulties you guys gotta go through.
So what I'm hearing you say is that it doesn't matter if I'm a teacher and I didn't go through the same things you went through, as long as I do what? Like, if I didn't go through the same things you didn't go through, but I still want to support you, I need to, is it the stuff we talked about earlier? Like, I need to like check in on you, make sure you're okay.
Yeah, you should check in. You should at least take thought into how I'm feeling that day or in general, to understand, like, if I don't want the help, then if I don't want help, me personally, if I don't want help, you'll understand that. But I think that you should still try your best to do what you can, even though you can't relate to everything that I'm going through or have been through.
Okay, that's good. Lonnie, what do you think? You agree? Even if I don't like have any of the same background as you, like we went through different things, if I just do what Passion said, I can still build a good rapport with you?
Yeah, because when me and Passion talk, I didn't go through everything she did, but I still like to like sit there and listen to her. And even though I can't relate, I like to just sit there, because when anybody's having a bad day, all they want is to sit there and talk about it. Even if, sometimes you need time to process what you're talking about, but just sit there and be able to talk, and having somebody there to just listen to you and not just sit there and then think about how they're gonna judge you, or just flip it into you, make you think you're wrong, or the way you're feeling is not like
Valid.
yes. So
Yeah, I can see how that would put some distance real fast.
What I say is, when you guys come in and like you feel what you feel, I think it is valid, irregardless. And for me, it's always like, do you want to talk? Do you need help? And if a student is like, nah, I just want to be left alone, I'm like, okay, door's always open. There are other staff here. If you'd like to talk to them instead, let me know. We'll see if they're available for you to talk to. And I'm more of like, just let me know. And I think any teacher, and especially new teachers, that's something that they really should be thinking about. That, just like how I said, teachers, you don't know what's like you guys. We don't know what you guys are coming in with from outside. And school should really be a safe place for you guys, a place that you can feel your feelings and be able to talk them out and be able to sort of pick them apart, figure out what's going on, and then be able to compartmentalize. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, what I hear y'all saying in different ways is that if teachers take time to get to know you, you're going to have a better time in the class. You're going to learn better, but it's tough to do. So let me ask you some different questions. I'm a teacher in my class. Classroom's going crazy. I lost control of the class. People are arguing. They're going at it. So how do I control the classroom? The classroom's going crazy. It happens. Have you all been in a class where that happens? Okay,
Yes.
so
there's students that I don't know what's wrong with them.
So what do we do? What's the teacher do?
Well, what I do when the it's probably not good for me to do that, but what I do when the kids in my class are giving me a headache and my teacher's not doing anything about it, when I walk around here and I just shout, I do that, and then it all goes quiet, or I'll be like, "You guys not hear them talking?" And then everybody get quiet, or
And the teacher's cool with you doing that?
Sometimes it depends on what class I'm in.
Okay.
My ninth period teacher doesn't mind. My My 10th period teacher, he doesn't really like it. But I tell him, they're not going to listen to you, so I'll help you out, mister. I'll do you a good job and help you out.
You're going to step up and help the teacher control the
Yes.
classroom. Okay. That's a good passion energy.
But if I was a teacher, I'll just go up to every single last one of them and be like, if you don't put that away and be quiet, you're getting a 0.
Okay. All right. That's one way to approach it. Lonnie's, classroom's out of control. You're the teacher. What are you going to do?
Well, me personally, I never thought about that question, but I feel like every teacher does it right now. They just start yelling, and then as soon as they start yelling, everybody just stay quiet. Because even though there's teachers, students like us, there's students that also take advantage of good teachers. So I feel like yelling, even when it's needed, or not even yelling, just making sure that everyone in your class respects you, because you're the teacher. You're the ones taking control of the whole class. So just letting it go. You guys,
Sometimes.
it has to happen, because if you're trying your best to stay quiet and they just keep walking over you, then you have to say something.
That's why you
So
have
they
to
can
take
respect
control of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the classroom's, you have to find a way to take control back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you think? Teacher perspective?
Oh boy,
Class is out of control.
It's kind of different for every class.
What
Mine
did you
don't-
do when we would be so loud?
I don't like yelling, but you've definitely heard me yell, and I can yell pretty loud.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, I try to save. Yeah, I only yell if the class is truly, truly out of control.
Okay.
And even then, only if I feel like someone's being unsafe, or if like this chaos is going to lead to an unsafe situation. Otherwise, the sort of tactics I apply is the 0. And something I do, especially if the whole class, I'll go up to individual students, like, if you do not calm down, start doing this, you're going to take the 0. I'm going to write you up. And I've been doing a thing where I show the students what I'm going to write up if they don't start doing what they need to be doing. And I usually, I find students, when they see the more like tangible consequence to what they're doing, they kind of, okay, all right, I'll just start doing what I'm doing. It's like, all right, good. And that's sort of where I've been this year. I've been really focused on being more present in the community. Hence why I'm here at Benchmark a lot.
Very good.
But I also been, keeping the parents really informed as well. So if a student is really, and it's either did something really big, or if it's a consistent day of like chaos, I'm not doing what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be disrespectful, I'm going to be defiant, then calling home and letting them know, here's the consequence of what you're about to do.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff in there. Besides yelling, you can show the tangible result. You can call a parent. You can try and know the person outside of school.
Absolutely. And I've had a couple successes now since starting here. I've had 2 students. They come here. They've seen me tutoring, talking to you guys. And I remember the next day comes in. He's like, you know what, mister? I'm sorry I was so chaotic. I'll start listening. I'll start doing my work. He goes, because I know I know it's not just here. You actually care about me because I've seen you outside. You're taking your own personal time to help.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I would tell a lot of new teachers to do is once a week, and I know we're all tired, we're all exhausted, but once a week, go out, do something with the community, something the students do.
Yeah, it's a powerful message. Okay, next scenario. You just looked at you're the teacher, and you looked at your classroom's first marking period grades. And you thought everyone was doing pretty well, and you looked at the grades, and they're not doing well. You need to get their grades up by the end of the next marking period. So you have a little bit of time. What are you going to do?
I will try to go back and reteach what they needed help in mostly.
Okay.
And then slowly have them take many like little quizzes on it to see if they still don't understand it or if they do get it. And if they don't understand it, we can try to work on something easier that they remember.
Okay. That's good. Lonnie's?
I think a good way that people get interested in learning is by doing activities. When we do activities, everybody gets more invested, because when you go in the class and we just start writing and writing and writing and reading and reading and reading, it just gets boring and you don't really want to learn. Well, it's not that you don't want to learn, but it's not interesting. It's just doing that all day long. So when you do an activity, you feel more interested in it, and then you will actually catch it in your head. So it will be more easier, and it wouldn't take that long to actually learn about it. How do I say this? It wouldn't take as long as when you're actually reading a book and having to do homework or do it after school because you didn't have time enough in class.
Mm-hmm. So adding in some activities,
yes,
is really cool. Have you ever had this situation, Mr. Falcone, where the class really doesn't do as well as you thought they would do?
Yes, but I will also say that's why I do my grades weekly now. So that way we don't get to that situation where it's like the end of the quarter. I'm like, oh, they are not where they need to be. But you guys did a good. You do use some good strategies that I use in the classroom, especially reteaching. So if the class isn't doing as well, I'm going to figure out what they're struggling in, and I'm going to figure out a new way to get that information. And even if that means I got to go all the way back to the beginning, and if there's like a concept, like a common concept is when I do in the 1950s we do the Red Scare. I don't know if you guys remember that at all, but we kind of learned the difference between the American system, capitalism, and then the Russian system, communism. And I've had to reteach those concepts a couple of times because they're a little hard. Mm-hmm. Those are political systems. It gets a little hard to understand. But yeah, that's why I keep on top of my grade book, that reteaching, giving them activities that are more, maybe they're not more fun to me, but just more engaging, more not like you said, reading and writing is important, but also at the same time you got to go in, maybe there's like a fun debate you can do with the activity, or you could do artwork, or you can make a script on something, do a play, or maybe there's a cool movie that I can show a scene with, and then we can discuss that scene as a class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of good content you all have brought up. All right, I have one more question. And Passion, Lonnie, so I'm interested to know what you think. Would you ever consider being a teacher?
I would consider it. I think that being a teacher comes with a lot, but from my point of view of other teachers, I think that I would do it just because I like working with kids, mm-hmm. or trying to get people to understand them better. Like, I want it to be understood so bad, so I think that I'll be like a lot of help for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you would consider?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lonnie's?
I would, just because I know what type of teacher I want. So I wanted to be that type of teacher for like future students.
Is it hard to become a teacher?
Yes and no. First, I say, what a privilege to hear that from you guys. That does my heart good. Yes, it's a little hard to become a teacher because it's you have to do 4 years of college, and that's the difficult part. You'll do it?
Yep.
You do it?
I'll do it.
It's a lot. And then beyond the 4 years of college, then what?
Oh, beyond the 4 years of college, you have to continually be going to class. And this isn't, I'm not even counting what you gotta do in school with the lesson planning and making tests. Like your first 3 years of teaching are probably the most difficult. If you can get past those first 3 years, it's a dream.
You're making me scared.
I don't like hiding anything. I want you to know the God's honest truth. Once you get past those 3 years, you got all your lesson plans written and all your tests ready to go, and you're in a nice school, or you're in a school that you've been for a while. It is a dream. It is very easy, and then you can focus on the things you really want to focus on. I had a point, and it's gone.
I think we can end on this idea that no matter what both of you choose to do professionally, it's going to be hard. But if you are interested in becoming a teacher, I think you would have the ability to fix a lot of the things that you just talked about today. I think you could do it differently. And I think what would be really powerful is you both would be the kind of teacher that would look at students and say, I have been what you've been through. Like, I have been I've done that. That happened to me too. And you said you have people in the building who you do feel like you gave good answers. to how teachers could get to know you better, but you could be the person.
And
That's really cool.
as someone who's in education, I can say those kinds of teachers are invaluable, and we need way more of them.
You'll see me soon.
Good.
Passion, if you let me know. I will gladly support you where I can.
Yeah, I have a couple ideas that I'm working forward, but we can save that for the next podcast we do, because there will be a part 2.
Good. We'll do a part 2. Passion, Lonnie's, Mr. Falcone, thank you for coming today. Thanks for our audience for listening, and tune in for our next episode coming up in the future.
I'm Passion and I like pizza.